Hi, welcome back to Bay Area Independent Filmmakers. I'm your host, Rosie Cruz, and I am here with Arabella DeLucco, the founder of We Excel. It's a global community of creative workforce that helps one another and finds mentors so that they can work in telling stories around the world. And hi!
That was great. You did a good job.
Well, this is really exciting. She is here because we are both hosts of our own show, and last night I had a chance to meet the other We Excellers on your show, and it was a fantastic interview. I got to talk about what I love to talk about, which is the Actors Conference, and now I have you here, and you're going to tell us all about We Excel and how that came about. It's a local community here in the Bay Area, but it has a global network. So I'd like to hear more about it. Can you
Yes,
just
and
elaborate
thank
more?
you, Rosie, for your energy and all the awesome work that you're doing and having me here. So We Excel, we're a nonprofit, like you said, and what we do is we connect this emerging workforce of storytellers, engineers, and artists from underserved communities to mentors, and then together we apply creativity and innovation to make the world a more prosperous and just better place. And what we focus on is sort of finding and celebrating and mentoring and nurturing creative excellence in storytelling and social impact. And I put those two together because I think that it's the answer. It's a antidote to some of the things that we need. Some of the things that we need because the world in San Francisco Bay Area, it needs a little bit of healing, and I really believe it's through creativity and through this sort of coming together of a community to tell our stories with each other. And is I think it's a way. It's a way. It's a way to heal, and not just a way to heal, but it's also a way to evolve. It's a way to innovate, and it's really truly, I believe deep down in my heart, how we're going to make this a better place for everyone.
I totally agree. I think that, we all are creatives at heart. When we're
Absolutely.
little children, that's all we do is just play, and we create,
Imagination.
things out of nothing. And to continue that process into adulthood, and then make it a livelihood and learn how to do that. It's very important, and because we carry those stories with us, and that's it's all communication, right?
Absolutely.
And if we're not communicating to one another directly and understanding, storytelling takes you out of the one-on-one interaction, helps you to utilize your mind in a different way and understand one another. So it is all communication, but it's a different process and a different way of understanding one another.
Absolutely. Yes, it's so funny because yesterday I was in the car with my husband, and he's listening to not a podcast, but an audiobook on Nietzsche. And I don't even know if I'm saying that his name correctly, but basically he was saying that Socrates was so focused on logic explanation that he believed that Socrates is the one that brought about the decline of the ancient Greece. But yet Homer, he believes, was the start of the Greek of the ancient Greek civilization of its prosperity. And I really believe in the Bay Area, we've gotten to the point where we're intellectually advanced, so much so that we forgot about the EQ, the emotional advancement that we also need to be as humans.
They need to accompany one another.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, there's already so many smart people here. There's so much money here. But yet, why do we have so much suffering on our streets? And a lot of people are leaving the Bay Area, and a lot of them are creatives and artists. They're leaving the Bay Area because they can't do their work here. And that's really why I've decided that We Excel, my nonprofit, should live here. and then we use, even though we're very local and locally focused, and we start first with our Bay Area film community. That's how we met, the Bay Area Filmmaker, right? And so we start here, but then what we do have here is this beautiful ability, technology to connect globally. And so even if there are, we need to start seeing technology not as the evil part, the evil thing. It's not. It's just a tool. Technology is just a tool we created.
Well, I think filmmakers got to remember, you know, we were
the first, right?
Yeah,
You were
one of the
saying
first,
this.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
technologies back in the early 20th century with cars, with airplanes, all that. So, you know, we just need to learn how to communicate to one another, the communities here in the Bay Area, so that we can all grow together.
Absolutely, and I think you said this last night. It's like a lot of the technological tools that have been created is social media.
Yes.
Right? And so, you know, that's communication. I mean, what is Uber but just communicating to, you know, this fleet of cars? They're not even, you know, taxi cabs, right? They're just people.
They're just people.
They're just connecting people to people. And we start forgetting that, and then we start vilifying the arts and artists because people think that it is because it's a really difficult path, and to stay true and authentic to your art and to who you are and to your like divine creative, you know, center. It's difficult, and to also make money, right? And that's difficult. And so I think I get why logically thinking people would be like, don't do the arts, go to vocational school or something.
I think most of us grew up like that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, going against the current.
And you know, and that's why I think a lot of you know, foundations for nonprofit organizations they say, you know, they want to support vocational training. There's nothing wrong with vocational training, but to me, since we specifically work with underserved communities, when you don't empower the underserved communities, the people within those communities to start thinking creatively and innovating, they start just not. They start working on jobs that could easily be automated by people who were empowered to think creatively, who have the means who have the means to pursue like the arts, right? And I do believe that even Hollywood is suffering from too much of this sort of, and no offense to Ivy Leaguers, but a bunch of people I know in Hollywood are all Ivy Leaguers.
They think logically.
They are like filmmaking, and they don't create better work. Than some of the stuff that some of the things that come from people's hearts and emotions. I'm not saying that, and this is the disconnect too. And I love that we're at Chabot College, because it's a junior college that is so beautiful and has the resources, and California has an incredible junior college system, which I really truly believed in. Like, I went back to school, even though I have my undergraduate degree. I went back to City College of San Francisco to take cinema and art classes. Why? It was free. Because I finally felt, after years of plugging away in the tech sector, and feeling like an imposter, like, who am I? And people thinking that, like, oh, you know, like, oh yeah, you're just, you know, you're this. Why? They don't even get what I am. And I started like losing myself. I said, you know what? I'm gonna go take some classes. It's free now. It's incredible. We have this Free City program in San Francisco. I went back. I took cinema classes, which I loved. They have an excellent program there. And then I took oil painting classes, and it changed my life. I didn't even know I can oil paint, and now I'm an oil painter. So it's changed me. I know for myself, it's changed me. It's made my business better. It's made my intellectual abilities better. And so just because you have your high on your EQ, your emotional abilities and your creative abilities, doesn't mean you're stupid either. And that's where we need to stop. Like, we need to stop pushing this sort of, oh, you gotta have like these high SAT scores to make
The
it in life.
measurements of
The
the brain
measurements, no.
capacity. There's so much more. Actually, where did I go? I went to a conference, and they talked about your brain energy versus your heart energy.
Yes.
And your heart energy is 60 times greater than your brain energy. And I believe that was, I think it was heartmath.com or something like that. But not promoting one particular website. I'm just saying that there's documentation to prove, if you're brain dead, you're brain dead. But if you're heart dead, you're dead.
Yes.
So the energy truly comes from the heart and the communication. And if this doesn't work, well, obviously this doesn't work. So so where do you lead from? And where do we all connect from? How do we connect that way? And communicate. And really, truly, it is from your center, your heart.
Yes.
And that's, I think those are definitely the triggers in great movies and great commercials and great podcasts nowadays, right? I mean, when people talk authentically, lots of people will listen.
Yes, and also, even if you think about the chakras, bringing it to like in ancient Indian, philosophy, it's like the chakras are in the center here, and your solar plexus is here, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Your
your
creativity
gut,
and
your creativity is in the reproductive system, not here.
Yes.
I mean, this is your third eye, but like that's helped you to see like, intuitively, but like everything is here. It's from the gut and then the throat. I mean, your throat like helps you express yourself, but that comes from here. I mean, if we think about that, like I'm really into spirituality and philosophy lately, just because it's all part of it. It's all part of like figuring out why we are human and what it is. What does that mean? I mean,
And
there's
the connection. Yeah.
yeah, and it's like there's no other time than now to be doing what we're doing, especially if you look at the politics involved. And I really see, and I just am so, I'm really very motivated to do the work we're doing now.
You're a big advocate for the creatives here in the community.
Yeah.
But before that,
Oh, sure.
you were your own producer. You did live webcasting when like it was the Wild West. I mean, it's still the Wild West right now.
Before Periscope, before Facebook Live,
before content marketing was even a word. You were like at the forefront. You worked with a lot of big people.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that? I just want to get your background.
Yes, of course. It's so funny. Back then I was really kind of like shooting from the hips, and I was like trial and error, and I'm really surprised that hindsight is 2020, that a lot of the things that I was doing in my 20s is now coming, like now I understand it. Now I understand what we're about to do. So I just want to preface it with like the stuff that we're doing with We Excel now, a lot of it is from the work that I did in the past. So I was a newspaper reporter when I came out of college. So I went to Rutgers University, state school, largest state school, like most diversity. Not largest state school, but it has the most diversity. So I'm really proud of that. And I actually was in college, and I thought I was going to do broadcast journalism, but I fell in love with English and political science. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go and get internships. So I interned at News 12 New Jersey first. Realized I hated local news. Oh, I shouldn't say that. Local news is fine, but it's just not for me. But then I interned at ABC The View when it was like Lisa Ling was on, Meredith Vieira was on, Star Jones.
That was my favorite
crew.
In the beginning. Yes,
yeah,
that was my favorite.
It was like in the beginning, and then and then like I met Barbara Walters, and I worked with them. Lisa Ling, like I went to Lisa Ling's house to like pick something up for her. Like it was really incredible, and that taught me so much. so much about diverse voices, and they were really pushing ahead. And one day Barbara Walters comes up to us and she's like, oh, so what are you kids gonna do in the future? And I told her, I was like, I'm gonna be a broadcast journalist. And she goes, well, it's a long road ahead, honey. I'm like, thanks, Barbs. Cool, good, great, no problem. I'm gonna do it. So, I mean, it is. She was right. She was totally right. And after college, during college, I applied for a job at the local newspaper, daily newspaper, a Gannett newspaper called the Home News Tribune, right in the area of Rutgers. And I got an obituary clerk job. So I would write about dead people 2 days a week and then do part-time reporting 1 day a week. And this was in 2002-ish. And it was incredible. But this was around the time. So that time, I already knew, like, I was building websites. I was on the bulletin board system since I was like 10 years old. So these are like dial-up network. I'm going to tell, I mean, people are going to be like, how old is she? But like, I'm going to look a lot younger than I am. So I was already very much involved in like technology. I made my own websites on like Angel Fire and GeoCities and did all that stuff. And so then worked for like it's really interesting. So worked for a server company called Setup Site in North Brunswick as well. And I wrote for uktravel.com back when, like, it was basically just like, like a content farm. Back in 2000, I worked for this company, and I would just write about England. And I had never, or not England, Great Britain, and I never had gone there. So the guy just got me a bunch of books from Barnes & Noble, and I just started writing content in 2000, So I got paid $20 an hour, which is a ton of money back then. It's still big. It's still a lot of money now, right?
Money's money.
Money's money. And so I was writing content. So anyway, when I got, I'm about to graduate from college. I have all these experience. I even interned for Diversity Inc. magazine, like all this stuff, weird stuff that I do now. And I get this job at this local newspaper, and it was the best job. I was like, this is so amazing. Like following a band and down the shore in New Jersey. I feel like Dazed and Confused, like straight out of like the movies. Like I had such a great summer when I was working for the Home News Tribune. But then I was like, y'all are doing it, like you guys are gonna fall like down badly if you don't like get more people under your online department. Like I literally told this this managing editor that at the Home News Tribune in 2000.
You knew at a really young age.
2003. I knew it. They had one online editor at the Home News Tribune when I worked there like 16 years ago. And sure enough, I knew it. I was like, people, I knew it. Then after that, I went west because I have family in LA. I was like, I just need to do something else. And I started cold calling every local newspaper that had an online department in Southern California. And I got a job as I was already a web editor for the Orange County Register. And basically, I got the job. And it was a great job. Yeah, these things just happen to me. Like when I go for something, they just end up happening. And I got the job, and I had the night shift, and I was basically like shoveling content from the newsroom system into the website.
Video content or just writing
this
content?
This was 2004. It was just written content and photo. Like I would Photoshop the photos from the one system. Like these days, you would just take an API and write from the one system, and then like it'll just automatically do that now. I basically the API.
Yes.
Like I was just the in between. I was a human person in between these two systems, and I would just use Dreamweaver to upload all this stuff online at night, and I remember my favorite part of it all was taking a break around 2:30 in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, and going downstairs to the printing presses and like seeing them start up and then smelling the print on the paper. And it was so cool. And then Yeah, and it was so cool. And then it was like really slow for me. And I was actually gonna go back to them to be like an on-camera talent after I left. And then they were having too many problems by that time. It was a little too late for the newspaper industry. They should have doubled down on their online department, and they didn't. It wasn't enough time. So, long story short, I ended up, pursuing my own stuff, producing my own stuff. Even had another company called You Are Gen Y, where we were a bunch of like older millennials, like running around taking video, and we were creating a CMS, like a content management system on our own when like YouTube came around. This was 2006, and pretty much we could have been YouTube millionaires, but because I was like in my mid-20s and was like just had I just had a terrible personality disorder back in my 20s, and I look back, I'm like, oh, it's too bad. I actually care about these people that worked with me back in the day, but that could have been something. So again, that's kind of like we excel too, and we were a very diverse group, and then we just didn't do it until, and then YouTube blew up, right?
Yes.
But one of the things that I really learned from that experience, aside from become a better manager, is you don't have to build everything. There are already platforms in place for you to do your thing, especially if you're a content producer and storyteller. So that was one of the wisest things that I got from that experience. And my company after that then kind of applied the learnings from You Are Gen Y, and I said,
is that the company, your own company that you created?
So You Are Gen Y was like a collaboration, and it was a company that we created. And then Media Guns was a company I did on my own. It was my consulting company. My production, actually, it's not consulting. It was more of a media production company. I wanted it to be a media consulting company, but it became like a production company. So what happened was I started using YouTube to do like a little show called Business Boomer, and I would go and talk to like entrepreneurs and visionaries, and I interviewed like Apple the App, like Tia Carrere at the Filipino American Gala, and I interviewed like Richard Branson, and this was around like 2006, 2007.
Oh my gosh, it's one of my favorite people that I follow.
Richard Branson. He's incredible,
love him.
so smart. And then interviewed Jane Pauley, like and then I started getting like asked to cover conferences. And I also I fell in love with this one book called Innovation and Entrepreneurship by Peter Drucker. And that book pretty much is one of the books that changed my life. There are probably two books that have changed my life. That's one. So Innovation and Entrepreneurship got me to think like, oh, how do you innovate as an entrepreneur? And then I got involved with the Drucker Society down in Claremont colleges, and started talking to them about what was just starting up then, which was social entrepreneurship. And so that was when I was like, oh, this is a thing. So then I started focusing Business Boomer onto social entrepreneurship, and then I got one of my biggest clients, which was Maria Shriver's Women's Conference.
Oh my gosh. So
I did their web producing for that. I grew their online live streaming. And then I got into live streaming and realized how much I loved it, because like at that time, Ustream and live stream were really like hot. And they were coming up, and I was like, oh my God, I love this live stuff. Like this live stuff is like the best thing ever. So got Women's Conference because I have this experience with web, grew their live streaming audience on the day of the conference by 450%.
Wow.
And
that's incredible.
Yeah, helped led the redesign of their website. I was just they didn't like though that I had other clients. I was starting to get other clients. I got the Hands-On Network and DoSomething.org, which is DoSomething.org does social entrepreneurs, helps young high schoolers do social entrepreneurship. And then the Hands-On Network hired Media Guns to create a an 8-city live webcast for MLK Day of service. And we did it multiple live streams. We put together all of the teams, 3 per each city, and we did it all for $40,000. And they were like, holy moly, this is incredible. And then live streaming changed, the technology changed, and I was beholden to the technology. This whole time I was hoping to like create like a sort of network, right? Where what like the hands-on network audiences will also be do something's audiences. But what I realized is nonprofits are in silos. They are in silos. They're like audiences. Just because you care about kids doesn't mean you care about volunteerism for, you know, X.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I get it.
So, or just because you care about kids, I mean, you care about women's rights.
Right,
like that's
right.
it's a thing. So that when I started getting more and more clients, one of the production companies that hired me in LA wanted to do a live streaming production up here, and I tried to do it. I got everything to put $3,000 out of my own pocket into it. This was late 2010. The satellite or internet company or the van that I had rented from, or that I had hired, couldn't do the internet like setup from the Civic Center. That was, and it was for a Nissan Leaf commercial. Anyway, long story short, they didn't pay me, and I was like, forget this. I'm not going to do this anymore.
Wow.
I'm not going to do this anymore. Livestream started working with Associated Press and not like a small-time producer like me. I was disheartened. I cried so much. I was like, I have to close my business. Got into tech marketing, got hired by Tech Week and Data Week to produce conferences. Ended up producing Tech Week in Chicago. Realized the impact of what it means to have, you know, to build that culture. And that, all of this, and ended up also doing marketing at a large tech corporation. All of this, all of the heartache, all of the work, all of the figuring out and hacking together ideas and solutions has culminated to We Excel. And then that is also culminating to what we're doing next year, which is the CREOs Award Show and Gala, which is the celebrating creative excellence and innovation in storytelling, social impact. So, all of that.
You're going to have to come back and tell us a lot more about that for sure.
I talk too much.
No, this is great. This is great background. I love it. But all this goes into your weexcel.org. And are you still looking for mentors? Or?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Always.
So,
we're always looking for mentors. We're always looking for partners. We're partnered up with a mentor at Microsoft. We got a really beautiful partnership with Autodesk, and
so you're bringing together all sorts of communities with this.
Yeah.
So can you let us know if people wanted to follow you? What's your website and what social media handles do you have?
So please go to wexl.org, weexl.org, and social media handle is wexlorg. That on Instagram and also on Twitter, and that's also at Facebook. So.
And if they wanted to watch your shows, where would they find it? On YouTube?
On YouTube. So we need YouTube subscribers, please, so that we can get our URL. But we have premieres of our TV show, and we have them about every month. So find us on YouTube by looking up WEXL_ORG.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.
I do want you to come back and tell us more about the CREOs. We're just going to focus in on like that whole purpose.
I know, and also Peacock too. I forgot to talk about it.
Oh no! Well, you know what? We'll just go ahead and put up a link to the.
We're also producing narrative films here in the Bay Area.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. Look up Arabella and go check out all that they do at weexl.org. We'll see you next time.